There's a reason that I never skip small game hunting. And no, it's not because I have an itchy trigger finger and just want to go out there and shoot squirrels. When most people are winding down at the end of deer season, that's when my real work begins. So for a lot of people out there, and this is just a generalization, small game hunting, whether it's squirrel, rabbit, whatever it might be, gets treated almost like a warm-up or just something you do when you're bored. And if we stop thinking about it that way and we actually implement it into our overall woodsmanship skills, I think we'll find out and discover that small game hunting is one of, if not the most practical and useful method that we can utilize season in and season out to become better hunters. Not just deer, not just turkey, but better hunters overall. So let's face it, small game hunting keeps us honest. We're never going to have a perfect wind or perfect weather. We're never going to have the perfect conditions because we're always on the move. It keeps us constantly alert. We have to be. We have to be paying attention 100% of the times while we're out there small game hunting, or we're just simply going to go home empty-handed. So how does that benefit us as hunters? Well, let's back up and think of other things that we might have interest in when it comes to hunting. Let's think about turkey hunting. Let's say you have a gobbler who is just firing off, but you know he's hung up and you are inevitably going to have to move on him if you want a chance of actually capitalizing on him. That movement, 90% of the time, if you don't know what you're doing, is going to give you away, plain and simple. So small game hunting helps us implement sound discipline. It teaches us where to be placing our feet while we're walking. It actually shows us, when we think about gear, what boots or shoes are actually going to work if we have to be in a stalking situation and which aren't. We can learn things like, hey, this is the time where I move, i.e. the wind is blowing or rain's coming in, or you have something to cover your sound, a plane flying overhead, whatever it might be. It shows us, hey, in these situations you might need to just sit down and wait an hour or two, and yes, that animal might move on, but it'd be safer for us to let the animal move on than for us to blow him out altogether. Small game hunting also really keys in on our shot selection. There is nothing more frustrating than aiming at a tiny little squirrel that's 30 feet, 40 feet, maybe even further up inside of a tree, and you've got one opportunity to get a shot off, or you're probably not going to see that said squirrel again. When it comes down to those key moments when we're actually getting ready to harvest the animal and execute our shot, a lot of times we end up rushing the process, and that's not inherently our fault. Our adrenaline's high, the moment is tense, and we feel all these emotions, and a lot of times our common sense, if you will, just seems to leave us, and when we think back on it later after those missed shots, we think to ourselves, man, I could have given it another 30 seconds before I actually pulled the trigger. So squirrel hunting gives us a little bit less pressure situation to learn how to execute those shots. Rabbit hunting does the same. Raccoon, possum, whatever small game it is that you might be going after. When we're in those situations, we don't feel all of that pressure weighing down on us. Now, that's not to say you should be going out there willy-nilly and just sending pop shots off at animals. All animals deserve respect, and it doesn't matter if it's small game or large. All animals deserve respect, but for some reason, most hunters tend to have less pressure on them when they're pursuing small game. And probably one of the most directly related takeaways from small game hunting that I truly think all hunters will reap rewards from is learning how to understand what the terrain and what the woods are doing in real time. You can sit here on YouTube and listen to a guy like me run his or her mouth about these are the things that you need to be paying attention to in the woods, whether it's the actual terrain layout itself, hills, valleys, creeks, so on and so forth, or wind direction, or where the sun's at in the course of the day, or what you can use to go from cover to cover to keep you from skylining yourself. All of these things that are spoke about online are great and they're practical, and I highly suggest you take notes and learn these tactics. But until you actually go out and implement them into your woodsmanship skill sets and try to understand what they are, it's not going to work for you. So to me, and this is just my personal opinion, I would much rather learn those lessons by making those mistakes on an animal that's maybe not trophy class or world record breaking. It's something that just takes the pressure off of my mind and lets me actually dive in and develop those skills. While we're on the topic of putting pressure on ourselves, I think another great thing that small game hunting provides for us is the ability to scout without pressuring ourselves. I would argue that scouting is the most important thing when it comes to harvesting an animal, because if you don't know where the animal's at and you don't know what the animal's doing, obviously to get in range of harvesting said animal is going to be luck. And although I know luck is a lot of it, I don't like to leave it all up to chance. So we go out there and we go on a rabbit hunt, and while we're in these thickets that we would never in a million years dream of scouting during deer season because we know we're just absolutely going to blow everything out of there, we actually get to dive into these bedding areas and we get to see the trails that are coming through. We get to see where the beds are. We can get in and see what the deer sees. Same goes with turkey. Before season ever starts, while I'm out there small game hunting, I'm starting to put together the pieces of where all the scratching is, where they're feeding during the day. Sometimes I can actually witness them flying down off the roost and understand what their morning patterns look like and their evening patterns. Now, obviously, everything changes, but the more puzzle pieces we can put together throughout the course of a year helps us be more successful season to season. Not only are we getting to see what the animals are facing, but we get to see what we face. I can't tell you how many times that I've hunted a piece of property and thought, well, this might be the only way that I can get in here without actually boogering anything. And then throughout my small game hunting seasons, I discover, because I'm going into places that I would not normally go, that I can actually access where I want to be hunting in deer season or turkey season, or any other season for that matter, from a completely different vantage point. A lot of times the fear of messing an animal up keeps us from exploring options that are actually going to make us be more successful. So when we pull that pressure off of ourselves because we're not pursuing a trophy class animal, we're more than likely going to discover things that we never would have known had it not be for small game hunting. We get to go out there and we don't have to force anything. We don't have to be looking for anything in particular. We just get to go out there and watch the woods be the woods. And honestly, as I've said numerous times on my channel, the woods are going to be your ultimate teacher. So it's just another opportunity for us to go out there and let the woods teach us what the woods want to teach us. So for me personally, my small game season starts directly after deer season. It actually overlaps. My small game season starts a couple months before deer season ends, but I don't really key in on small game until after the deer season does end. And what that does for me is it gives me a mental reset. Let's face it, if you chase any sort of caliber of mature deer, whether it's an age class or you're after a certain amount of inches or whatever it is, if you are out there and truly challenging yourself and not just out there to hunt whatever presents itself, it takes a toll on your mind. Regardless of if you're chasing Pope and Young class deer or world records, if you are setting a standard, there is inevitably a trophy mindset. And that's not inherently a bad thing. It's what challenges us and makes us become better hunters. But if that's all we have, we end up missing the point. The point of being out there in the woods, the point of enjoying nature for what nature is. We have to give ourselves something to stop and get that reset, if you will, the mental break that we need from the trophy class mentality. If going and designating a doe day for yourself is how you reset, by all means you can continue to do that, But I would argue that you should really step back and do something completely different. And it doesn't necessarily have to be small game, but small game is one of the easiest things for us as hunters to completely and totally tie into all of our other hunting adventures. Take the pressure off yourself. Go into the woods and don't even have the mindset that you have to pull the trigger for it to be a successful day. Sometimes just going out in the timber and watching the woods do what they do and seeing how everything else moves around you as you move through the woods is all you need to really reset your mind and remember what it is you do this all for to begin with. And the last reason I will hit on today of why I think small game hunting is so important is the woods reward consistency. And I have spoke on that several times. But the truth is, if we only go out there 5 days out of a deer season and 5 days out of a turkey season, what are we actually learning? Listen, I understand schedules are busy. I understand you have to provide for families. And I understand that you have work obligations. But why not give yourself an opportunity to get out there more often and learn more things? Even if it's just 1 or 2 weekends at the beginning of the year and you get to go out and see the woods and what they do during the off season. You get to go out and see the animals when they don't have as much pressure on them. 1 or 2 times a year is so much better than only getting out there on the key moments and the killing days. Go out and take as much information as you can and really rake in the rewards of what consistency will actually provide. I'm not saying that you have to live in the woods to become a successful hunter. By no means is that what I'm saying. As a matter of fact, I just recently posted a video of what truly defines success in the outdoors. But the more time we spend out there, obviously the more things that we're going to learn. So why not take the pressure off of yourself, go out and enjoy things for what they are, use it for a free scouting trip, if you will, and honestly, just enjoy being out there. Small game hunting isn't an off-season. It's the foundation where everything can start. And that is why I never skip it.